All right, Devonte here with Gnosco Tech, and I got a review here on a tank that I actually ended up purchasing through Facebook Marketplace. It's the Top Fin Waterfall Infinity. I believe that's what it's called, and I'll go ahead and put up the picture of what the box looks like and everything like that. Now, I do know from my research that Top Fin had discontinued this tank model, but and this is the 20-gallon version, by the way, and they have since discontinued it. Now, I'm also assuming that that is due to some of just the bad reviews that they were getting and things like that, and just the feedback and reviews I've been seeing. Now, with that being said, when I got this tank, the person who sold it to me did make me aware of some of the issues with it, things like that. But overall, saying that if you have big fish, it wouldn't be a problem. Now, I'll go ahead and share with you a few of the modifications I made that I believed fixed a lot of the issues that people were generally complaining about with this tank. Um, and maybe that'll be helpful to somebody. But this has to be one of the most underrated tanks I've ever owned, and honestly, one of the greatest tanks I've ever owned. And I wanted to go ahead and share a little bit on the modifications that I did. Let me go ahead and turn the light on here so you guys can see a little better. So there is a blue and white light that comes stocked with this tank. And so, as you can see, generally, what some of the complaints were, one of the first ones that I'll point out is right here where you see I have these sponge filters here. Essentially, there's a gap there that if you have smaller fish, they can actually come out of that gap and end up on the floor or end up in the actual filtration via, which sounds really horrible. Now, with that being said, I went ahead to Amazon and got sponge filters, which I have on another one of my tanks. But essentially, cut it at the right size. Essentially, just cut it in half, and I just stuffed them in there, and then stuffed them essentially in upward and downward, and essentially it just creates a filling of that gap. And just so you guys have a timeline, I've had this tank now for 6 months and haven't had any real issues. And so the design, obviously Top Fin didn't do a great job with the overall design of this and overall testing to see how this would work with, different types of fish. I didn't know if they marketed, hey, this is not a tank for, small fish or whatever the case is. But yeah, so that's one of the big mods that essentially I did, and it's been working wonders. And it's easy to clean because once you pull this top off, it sticks to the inside of that curvature. Maybe show you just a little bit right there. Yeah, there's a little curvature right there that it sits in. So yeah, so that's pretty much that. And so what I did too was I added some biomedia inside the filtration system right here, along with some river rocks. That's actually there to kind of help just kind of keep the bacteria balanced throughout the tank. And then right here is where the filtration system is that comes with the tank. So it essentially drops the water from this top here into this body of water here, and then it just overflows through this filter, and this pump right here pulls the water up and through this hose and back into the tank again to sort of create that infinity waterfall that that they were marketing. And so yeah, so that was the other complaint, is that a lot of people felt as though this filtration system just wasn't sufficient to keep the tank filtered enough, and I kind of took that as a mental note, and essentially felt the same way, even though I didn't give it much of a time to do. So what I did was I created sort of a back filter opening here. I just cut open the back of this filtration here, or the top cover, so that I'll be able to put the filtration over the back filter there. So yeah, so that's pretty much, I would say that covers all the modifications that I've essentially done to this to make it the complete and awesome tank that maybe Top Fin had in mind for it to be. But like I said, since it's been discontinued, but if anyone has this tank, if this is helpful, maybe give you some ideas on how to essentially make this tank doable, make it workable to be an awesome tank. It gives a great, waterfall backdrop, and And also the sponge filters create a little resistance, so it's not as much of a waterfall, so you can actually see the fish in the tank. As you can see here, I have a lot of live bearers, and I actually have drawing a blank here, but rosy reds, but other than that, just live bearers for the most part. And so, yeah, one last thing I wanted to mention. Essentially, if you do have this waterfall feature, you would want to make sure, I use these smart plugs down here to attach to my phone. So if I ever needed to stop it or anything like that, because often if you're cleaning it, you want to make sure that you stop it, because if you pull this top off, especially if your fish, they're really hyperactive, they can get up to this top part and just fall right out to the top. So you want to make sure to turn this off before you take this top off. But yeah, other than that, having the smart plug just makes it really convenient. You use pretty much any smart plug, and that will just allow it to, stop flowing while you can maneuver and do everything that you need to do. But other than that, I hope this review helps. A little random to the channel. I know we cover a lot of tech, retro tech, video games, stuff like that, but I felt the need to drop this review just because I found this idea and I thought it would be really helpful to somebody. But if it was helpful, definitely let me know in the comments. If you have any other additional questions on this, just let me know. And yep, appreciate you guys checking us out.